Hello, hello, and welcome to Hygiene Elevated Conversations and Innovations. Today we are joined by the one and only MissyRDH, Melissa Calhoun. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And we wanted to just start off our conversation by asking you to share a bit of your background and your journey in the dental field, kind of leading to where you are now, because you have your hand in a lot of things. So we want to know what started it all. What got you in the field?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I love talking with other hygienists, and we learn so much from one another. And so this is so great. Thank you for providing this platform. So it all started back in 1999. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to help people. That had always been a constant in my life. I knew I wanted to help people. I had dropped out of college. I was like, I'm not spending any more money on school. I just don't know what I'm going to do. My mom worked as a nurse in a pediatric clinic. There was a pediatric dentist upstairs, ironic one that I saw my entire life. He was my dentist. And he called my mom one January morning and was like, hey, what is Melissa doing? Is she in college? What is she doing? My mom's like, she has no idea what she's doing. She's dropped out of school. She's trying to figure out her life. And he's like, do you think she'd be interested in becoming a dental assistant? I'll send her for training and I'll teach her to do everything. And I'm like, well, what do I have to lose? At this point in my life, I've disappointed my parents. I've dropped out of college. I was the oldest of five. So that first child. And so that's where it all started. I became his lead hygienist. I would go to the surgery center with him every Friday. We saw a wide variety of pediatric patients, and he specialized in special needs care, like most pediatric dentists do. And in there, I learned that I really enjoyed being with patients. We had one hygienist in the clinic, and she was like, you don't want to be a dentist, because that's where I was headed, right? She's like, you don't want to be a dentist. You want to be a hygienist. You want to spend time with the patients. And boy, was she right. Miss Nancy was spot on. She wrote my letter of recommendation, and I immediately started back in college that summer to start taking prerequisites for dental hygiene. I went to Pensacola, went through hygiene school like all of us do. It's 2 to 4 years of just pure torture. And then I moved to Jacksonville, and because I met my husband who was military, he still is, and moved to Jacksonville and worked for a pediatric dentist there. Now this was a little bit more of an affluent area, and still saw the same thing. Lots of pediatric patients having lots of dental decay. And it hurts my heart that so many kids suffer. And that's why, fast forward, I've worked in perio, I've worked in general. I'm a military spouse, so I've Florida, Maryland, Tennessee, California. Now I'm in Texas. So I've been all across the US, and I still see the same issues. When I did my master's degree, I immediately finished dental hygiene school and did my bachelor's degree, and then went for my master's in 2019. And I wrote my thesis on the behavioral intentions of dental hygienists to provide care to infants and toddlers. And I learned so much in that. And so now I speak on pregnancy and infant oral care, because I don't think that you can have one without the other. You have to talk about pregnancy care when you're talking about infant and toddler care, because they are 100% connected. And so that has just been my passion. And so my master's degree is concentration in dental education. I knew I wanted to work as a dental educator, and that's where I am currently. And so that's the shortened journey.
I love it. Thank you for clarifying why you were in so many states, because as I've been stalking you, I've looked at a few of your pieces, and I'm like, she's a hygienist everywhere.
I truly am. Yeah.
Yes.
It's we've lived in Maryland twice. We've lived in Florida twice. Tennessee was a brief stint, but they are, some states are easier and some states are, I've had this conversation with many. Some people have been like, you need to start a business on licensure so that you can help people with licensure. And I'm like, but every state is so different. And you have to know all those little, the nuances of every state to be able to really be a good, to help people with that. Like California, there's a lot. And I had people ask me lots of questions about California because I even had to resit for a clinical board exam when I moved out there. So that was a big hurdle for
one of the things too that you can probably attest to, the difference in the cost between states is insane.
Yeah, I think when I got my license here in Texas, roughly, you've got $25 there, $50 here, I'm going to go ahead and say maybe $500 total, right? It was $6,000 to get my license in California after all was said and done, because I had to sit for the clinical board exam, which was $1,000. And then I had to sit for a $5,000 local anesthesia class that you have to take in order to get a license there. It's not every other state. It's like, you can take it if you want to take it, or you don't have to take it. California was like, no, you have to take it. But California, again, is the only state who has a dental hygiene board. So it's our dental hygiene board that is really monitoring and making sure. It's not a dental board, which is cool. And like, why are you doing this to us all at the same time?
Yeah. I'm from New Mexico and I've been in Utah for 3 years, and I have maintained my license in New Mexico at the cost of $300 every 3 years. Utah's like $45 every 2 years. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Currently, I have 3 active, like that I'm actively have to take CEs for. Florida allows for a military active, so I don't have to take CEs until I move back into the state. So they are very kind. But I think this year, I'm hoping to be here for a while. And so I think I'm going to put some of my others in active, but it's scary because I'm like, what if I go back? But
yeah.
Well, yeah, you're going to be there for a while. You just took on an instructor role at one of the colleges.
Yeah. Now we're here because of my husband's military. He is, he's fingers crossed could be his last duty station here. And we'll have kids in high school, so I'm not going anywhere. But but that's why we're here. And yes, I took on. I'm a full-time instructor at Tarrant County Community College, or Tarrant County College. It's not and I've been there a little over a month, and I love it. I taught in Maryland under the direction of Dr. Joy Boyd Holmes. She was my director when I taught in Maryland. And that was a phenomenal experience. I really learned so much from her. And she's a fantastic educator. And so, without her, I wouldn't have the confidence to be where I am now, because she had faith in me and gave me the opportunity to teach right out of my master's degree program. So it was great.
Well, I would totally fangirl over Dr. Joy any day and
It's
just be
easy
like,
to
oh
do.
my gosh, it's Dr. Joy.
Yes, and humble, and I can't say enough wonderful, wonderful things about her. She has been a fantastic mentor, and I'm really grateful to
No, she is absolutely incredible. Missy, I wanted to ask you, what motivated your recent transition into education, and what goals do you hope to achieve in this new role?
So my husband will say that I said it the minute I graduated hygiene school. I'm going to come back and be an educator. But this transition was because I want to help our future profession of our profession. I want to be on the forefront of them learning how the real world works, what dental is, but it comes with its challenges, because 19 years of clinical dental hygiene practice, 20 something years of dental experience, dental hygiene is like learning another language. And we have taken multiple, CE courses over the course of our, careers that deepen that knowledge and make that knowledge so much more, rooted in our souls. And then going in to teach it, you have to scale it back and bring it down to a understanding level, which is, it's challenging because for us, and I'm going to talk about radiology because that's what I teach. For me, doing a bisecting technique is I just do it. I don't overthink it. I don't think about it. I can kind of see the angles, but I have to bring it down to that, so those are, that's like a, big challenge, but I love the aha moments that students have. That is what fuels that fire to still want to, to continue to teach and to want to, is, even if it's just one that gets it, you're like, I've been successful. It's a great feeling. So that is that's why I really wanted to make that transition.
Missy, I've been doing student presentations for a few years now, but it's with sponsorship, it's growing quite large now. And I can completely relate to what you're saying. Like, you just feel it in your soul, like you're an educator.
Yes.
And I feel like I have that, like a piece of that, but I also have like this nomad somewhere in me, like this nomadic style. So like I love traveling and like just doing little drop-bys to all the programs and saying like, hi guys. And I am like, you've chosen the best profession on the planet, and let me tell you what I love about it. And so I seriously just love spreading my own joy for this profession. And
that's when you find a 9-month program and you have summers off.
Yeah. You're onto something there, because I love it. And I tell them, like, just raise your hand if I say something you don't know, because you're right. We have just like blazed through this at this point, and we forget what it's like when you're still just looking at pictures in the textbook and
not having that functional knowledge yet, like the textbook knowledge, but not the functional knowledge.
Right. It's that, A equals B, like making it all come together. And it really, in our profession, and when we're learning dental hygiene, we're learning radiology, we're learning pharmacology, we're learning all these things. But at the end of the day, we have to bring all those things together. You have to bring in, like, the meds can affect the saliva production, and the periodontal disease can affect the rest of the body. Like, we have to all of a sudden then connect all these, and critical thinking is like such a big portion of what we do. And so when we're seasoned, because I don't want to call us old, right? When we're seasoned and we've been doing this for a while, it's like just there. It's like walking. It's like riding a bike. You just do it. And so, when students look at me all the time and go, Miss Calhoun, I hear the words that are coming out of your mouth, but you're kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. And I was like, When me, you and Dex are in the back and I'm showing it, and then it's like, oh, those are the moments. That's what I love. That's, those are the, I've achieved this, big thing, just having a student, be able to take a good X-ray.
That aha moment. One of the things I'll tell the students about is, it's that anxiety, that stress of like, you used to have 4 hours for a patient and now you have 1 hour for a patient. And I told them, and I'm like, but the good news is hygienists are like extremely adaptable. And so, you're going to pick up speed a little bit every day. And then you're going to be moving at a quicker pace. And all of a sudden you might find yourself finishing your appointments too fast. And I said, and that is your moment. You have reached it. And now it is like your opportunity to hone it back and start bringing in what you learned in school with that clinical speed. And when you bring them together, you will last your whole appointment time, giving your patients the best level of care. But I tell them, I'm like, it happened to me. I've seen it happen to other hygienists where we're just moving so fast, so fast. So I'm like, nope, that's your moment. You made it. Now you need to bring those two pieces together.
That is a great way to explain that to the students. That is really a great way, because I'm getting that they're all about to graduate in May, and I'm the new face. So they're like, Miss Calhoun, right? Like, how do you go from 4 hours to 1 hour? And I'm like, well, first of all, nobody's checking you. So you don't have to have your medical history evaluated. You don't have to the laundry list of instructors that have to, because you're doing it all on your own. So that takes some time away, but then, like, just remember that, if you can't get it done in that hour, you sometimes we have to bring them back. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's about patients, it's about making the patients feel like you care about them. And that means a lot. So,
and it's not like dentists never go overtime anyway, with years of practice. So
correct. Yes. Yes.
A little less stress for sure.
That's for sure. They're on their time.
That's true. That is.
I love dentists. I think they're great, but yes, they're on their time sometimes.
You get that exam when you get that exam.
Bingo. Exactly. That's correct. Like, they don't stop what they're doing to come and give you an exam. They're like, you've just inconvenienced them for that exam. What do you mean you need an exam? It's on the schedule, same schedule that you have up right now.
I love sarcastically interrupting my doctor. Is this a bad time? Cool, because I was waiting for that one to come ask for an exam, so I'm ready.
The worst time. Are you deep in there? I need you.
I waited until I heard the drill to come ask for an exam. So it's usually.
I waited till you walked in, gloved up, sat down. You want to come check me?
Yep.
I was hoping you would do it on your own, but I guess that's not going to happen. So true. So
I love
true.
that.
I have a very fun doctor, though. We have a lot of fun together, so we banter. So he'll sometimes just look at me and roll his eyes, and I'm like, I love you too, and walk away.
Yeah, no, and that, that right there is a phenomenal, I've worked with some great dentists that have been very hygiene focused, which is awesome. But the one I worked with in California was by far, like, he takes the cake, because he had, I like to joke with him, he had a prevention side where the hygienists were, and then he had his restorative side. And I would tell all my patients, you don't want to go to the other side. Stay over here, because, we're here to prevent, but I also love the fact that he had, patients would be like, so what kind of toothpaste do I use? And he's like, I'm not the person to ask that to. Ask her. She'll tell you. He was very, cool. He one of the most hygiene focused dentist. And he is the one who brought, he is the reason I got to begin my journey with GBT,
Okay.
So as I'm a trainer with EMS, and when I moved to California, I had known about GBT for a really long time. And I had a handy in like 2018, because the dentist I worked for in Maryland was like, sure, if you want one, we'll give it a try. I loved it. I fell in love with the technology right then and there. And again, my husband will tell you that I spoke it into fruition that I was going to work for EMS. I'm going to work for this company one day. And when I started working in San Diego, I started working at this office, and he did a lot of implants. And I was like, do you know about guided biofilm therapy? And he's like, I don't. And I said, well, let's go to a course. And what GBT is it's a predictable, systematic approach to biofilm disruption and calculus removal. I know it's focused on biofilm because we use air and powder and water to help disrupt that biofilm, which is the live bacteria in our mouth, right? So that's the stuff that, when your blood is pumping. Brandy Hooker Evans made a great analogy last night, but when your blood is pumping and then it goes in through your head and it picks up those germs from your mouth and then it starts spreading the, germs all over your body. Like, it's the biofilm that it's taking. It's not taking the hard calculus, it's taking that biofilm. And so that's how it ends up all over our bodies and on the inside of our bodies, for those that maybe aren't following where I'm going with this, but so GBT is that predictable approach to biofilm disruption. It uses the airflow technology. The technology is not turbulent. So like the airflow isn't moving in a back and forth. It's moving in a very straight linear, uses, like I said, erythritol powder, air, and water, and it helps to disrupt that biofilm up to 4 millimeters subgingivally. The guided part of that is using disclosing solution. And disclosing solution can be a trigger for a lot of hygienists. And it's because I love it, but it's because we got graded using disclosing solution in school. So people start getting a little twitch when you talk about disclosing solution. I had someone the other day, I said that I disclose every single patient every single time. And someone looked at me and said, how much time do you have per patient? And I said, I have an hour, but the change that you see in your patients when you disclose them that's another aha moment, because there's that education we get to do, right? I had a patient in California, came in, we called him the prickly pear, arms folded. He's all like, I know, I need to brush better. I need to floss, but I'm not going to do it. I was like, okay, fine. Then whatever. 45 bleeding points on this day. I disclosed him. I showed him all the blue spots. Ironically, we're right by all the bleeding points. And then, just did my whole, airflow, loved it, came back at 3 months. He came back at 3 months because I thought his biofilm was just too high. I wanted him to come back. We need to reduce that inflammatory burden. He came back, he had 14 bleeding points. By the 6-month recall, 3 months later, we had gotten him on a oral probiotic. He was 0 bleeding points and no light blue because we use GC America. Now, not every patient is like that, because not every patient is, really not every patient is so receptive to what I'm trying to teach, what we are trying to teach them, right? But for this one, he did. And that was awesome. It was so awesome. And he was a great patient from then on, even though, but he was soft and squishy on the inside. We had to be prickly on the outside a little bit, but he was receptive. And that's why we do what we do, is to change, patients' behaviors, and that's one thing that I think disclosing solution does. So the other part with GBT is we use the Piezon, and the Piezon has most ultrasonics are static. This has a dynamic technology. So what it does is the frequency and the amplitude increase when it feels that tartar, because of the way the design and the handpiece. So it may be at a low, like you have it like at a 3, but it's just slightly below the 3 until it feels that there's a change in the structure or the feeling of the calculus. I know sometimes I jokingly say it's voodoo witch magic, but it does work very well. And it's the way that the design and the handpiece really works. It's all inside that handpiece that makes it. And EMS makes great piezo scalers that've been around for years, and they do such a great job with it. But with the Piezon, which is on the airflow, it's a little bit of a different technology. So you disclose, you're able to do that great home care with the patient. You've already done your assessments, then you turn around, you airflow, remove the hard deposits, which most of us should be using some type of ultrasonic for most of our calculus removal, because it's less fatiguing on us, right? It helps us. And then we go back, check, use fine scaling, and then our appointment is done. We're able to put them on the recare that we feel is necessary, because we're able to show them and have a much deeper conversation. We can do that I feel like with, with just implementing that disclosing solution, sometimes just having that deeper conversation.
Well, I love that, Missy. There are two things that come to mind listening to that. The first one, like, you deserve a huge round of applause for getting this prickly pear of a patient to actually even come back in 3 months. Like,
that was big. Even so,
yes,
the hygienist I worked with has been there for 14 years. So she's like been with these patients forever, and she was like, "You're blowing my mind over there. Like, I cannot believe that you got him to come back at 3 months."
Yeah.
Like, and totally. And then he's like, I got these little brushes, and like, he was like excited. And that, I mean, that was great. Of course, the office manager was like, well, Melissa, I think he just likes hanging out with you. I'm like, sure. Okay.
Yeah, we're sure. No,
I'm making difference.
That's one of like the cool things I love about being a hygienist is when I have convinced the patient, like, you need this, even when they're like, I don't need that. Right.
Who cares if my bone is that far down? I'm fine. Yeah.
When we actually get those stubborn patients to accept treatment, that is the what makes me like, fills my cup up. I feel so good when we've got those difficult people complying with treatment all of a sudden. After so many years of being non-compliant, prickly pears. So good job on that, Missy.
And can't say that for everybody, but just one.
That all you need is one a day, right?
That's right.
Also, like, kudos to the other hygienist in that moment of being supportive for you and not being defensive.
Look, I've worked with my very best friend, when we were in Florida together, my very best friend, 20 years of friendship. We worked together. We had a great relationship. The girl, her name is Chelsea. Big shout out to Chelsea. She's in San Diego. She is single-handedly the best coworker any other hygienist can have. And it's because she supports her team. She supports the dentist. The dentist supports her. She has such an amazing relationship with her patients that, like, they really didn't want to see me. Okay. But they did because she said it was okay. Like, I love her. Like, she's amazing. I absolutely love her. And
shout out to Chelsea. We all aspire to be Chelsea.
Yes, be a Chelsea. And as a hygienist with your team, be a Chelsea. Be supportive. Be there for your team. And the other thing was when I brought this technology in, and I'm like, let's change everything we're doing in the office. She was like, let's do this. Both arms grabbed onto it. Let's make changes. And she sees the change in patients. I see the change in patients. We see patients bringing in more patients because my dentist office does something different. They don't use that gritty toothpaste, and they don't scrape as much as they used to, but everything feels really, really clean. So they feel it, and our patients are happier, which brings in more happy patients. And so that's been awesome. Awesome.
That sounds.
I hated leaving that practice.
that sounds like
shaping the future now.
Yeah.
And speaking of shaping the future as an instructor, do you think that GBTs are going to become part of their education curriculum?
Yes, I do. 38 schools in the United States. I double checked that before I got on this podcast. 38 schools in the United States have already begun to implement it into their programs. Which is
I'm
awesome.
so jelly.
And it's not like every single unit has a GBT machine, an EMS machine in their unit, but students are being introduced to it. Yeah. They're being able to see how this is going to benefit this patient. And that is going to change their mindset, which is awesome. In fact, the school that I'm at, one of my fierce desires is that we are going to be implementing it into our program. I want to so bad. Mm-hmm. And so that is our hope. My director is 100% on board, which is pretty awesome. So the hope is that we will be implementing that as well. And so, like I said, even if it's just you get to do it on one of your patients. You know, currently we have, at the school I'm at, we have all these options, but students go for whatever they think is going to be the easiest, right? Like I talk to students all the time and I'm like, we have all these piezos. Are you using a piezo? Because for 17 years, I was a magnetorestrictive all the way. And then I started working with piezo and I'm like, this is less heavy on my hand. This is less, look, there was just a lot of, I wasn't pinch gripping so much. There was a lot of change in the way that I was, my hands didn't hurt at the end of the day. And so I'm trying to like teach students you're in school, use everything that is here, because number one, you don't know what you're going to get when you get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And number
Very
two,
true.
why would you not want to have that opportunity? Like to try everything, even if it's messy, even if you're not comfortable with it, like your patients know they're out of school. That's why they're there for 4 hours. I mean, use the things that are in your toolkit to the best of your ability.
And I want to add to that. You only need to try something once to know, like, this is cool. I got to use a laser once. I got to use a Velscope oral cancer screening device once.
I have never been able to use one. Yeah.
I mean, it only took once. Now they're like staples in my practices.
Right.
I'm like, I want that. It's cool technology. We need this.
Yes.
And yeah, you just need it once. They don't need a system in each unit. That's crazy. But one time and they'll be sold. They will be talking about this to their dentist when they're new hires. They will say, trust me, I've done this. It's great.
Well, and the other part is, and the reason it needs to be implemented into schools is because of the fact that every dentist out there is like, oh, well, this is a new hygienist. They just got out of school. They probably know the latest and the greatest. And sometimes that's not always the case, because maybe the school doesn't have the funds to have lasers, to be able to show the students how to do lasers. They may not have, nomads to show how to use a nomad. I mean, the school that I'm currently at, I am just beyond, we have the handies that we can show them how the erythritol powder works, right? We have the piezos, we have lasers, we have all these nomads, we have all these opportunities to learn all these gadgets that you may or may not face in the real world, but you'll know that, you know what, having that nomad was pretty cool in school because I just didn't have to worry about hitting my head. It was right there. It was, you never know what you're going to walk into. You walk into an office and it's all piezo and you're like, I never picked up a piezo in school. They had them there, but I never did it. Try it. Put your, like, just give it a try. I know that, it's all about grades, but give it a try so that you can learn.
I think that's solid advice. I think in school, I was so focused on just trying to get past everything that I was like, I don't need to learn anything new. Just tell me what I am going to do to be successful, pass boards. And we had to buy our own ultrasonic units. So there wasn't like a piezo for our clinic. But I did my service hours at the Indian Health Services and they had a piezo. And so it was a learning opportunity because at least I was exposed to that where I wasn't in school. But yeah, I didn't have that mindset in school. And I think that's having somebody say that to you as a student, like, hey, it's okay. This is the time to practice. Nobody expects you to be perfect. I think
this is the place we don't expect you to be perfect. And I love it. That'll go with the last question, but perfection, right? I mean, we are so type A and we like things to be a certain way. I mean, each one of us clean the mouth differently, but it's your way. And if you all of a sudden start on the left side when you normally start on the right side, you're messed up. You don't know where you are. When your doctor interrupts you for an exam and you're like in the middle of flossing and you just do the top and you're like, oh,
I don't know where I'm at.
I'm just going to refloss the whole mouth because you knew you had the string in your hand, but you didn't know where you stopped. You know, like we are such creatures of habit that like sometimes we're scared to go out of that box. And training hygienists on how to use the GBT machine can be challenging because they are set in their ways. I'm not touching a piezo. I've been using a magnetostrictor for 35 years and I'm not, and we get this like pushback and I'm like, just try it. Like, you don't have to love it, but try it. First time I used it, I was like, I hate this thing. But I was like, you have to stick it out. You have to give it a try,
Okay, so as like a consultant trying to coach hygienists in other things than a GBT, I think we are like the most stubborn group of people on the planet.
I didn't say that.
Joffrey will.
I am stubborn. I am incredibly stubborn. And but it was like, I want to go help other stubborn people. Like, who signs up for that? We must be crazy.
Might be a little off, just a little. We might be a little.
I would like a really hard challenge. Let me
go train a bunch of very type A people who like things their way, and their way is better because they know what they're doing. Maybe it's because we're always like the redheaded stepchild over in the corner. Oh, dental hygiene. Oh, you just know teeth. Like, you're like, no, I know so much more. That when we're so defensive when people want to come to us with change, right? It's, and I'm such a, like, I personally am very flexible. I love to change things. Now, when the other hygienist looks at me and goes, you disclose every patient every time. You darn right I do. Like, I become very defensive. Like, but I know that for me personally, I feel like I'm benefiting my patient when that happens, right? So I'm doing the right thing. And so that's where we all become very defensive in our things. But we can be a very, very stubborn group of learners. Yeah. We really can.
Obstinate, not stubborn.
Yeah, just completely defiant in that.
I had a patient tell me that one time, and I was like, I see no problem here, but okay, keep going.
I'm good. That's why. Like, come on.
Well, I know what I'm doing. You don't.
Right. Clearly. No. I know. It's like we have our magnifiers on. We're like, it's just so true. It's that yeah, Joffrey, you're dead on.
I know. I will tell the students, okay, listen, I am the most stubborn person in this room. I am so stubborn. I didn't start admitting I was stubborn until just last year. Like,
I had to come in Jesus moment and realize that I was stubborn.
It is new for me to talk about being stubborn.
She starts, that's her PowerPoint slide.
Yes.
Stubborn. Let's talk about this first.
My bio. Bio. That's a great transition. I want to turn the corner with you, Missy, here.
Sure.
Can you explain the probiotics? You talk about probiotics online quite a bit.
Yes. I became very intrigued by BioGaia's Prodentis because, like I said earlier, I speak on infant care, and it's something that's I wish I was more in a situation where I could see more little ones. But I've just kind of like transitioned and grown out of it, but it's something that I can definitely teach students. And I definitely want to try to implement more into the schools. But BioGaia is the only studied oral probiotic that has an infant formula, and it has 20 plus years of studies done on this probiotic, and it's out of Sweden. Yes. And I'm like all of a sudden blank because Switzerland is EMS. And so it is 2 different strands of Limasil lactobacillus reuteri. And these 2 strands were extracted from humans. One was from a Peruvian woman in her breast milk that only about 10% of us still produce this this Limasil lactobacillus reuteri in our bodies naturally.
Wow.
And so it was extracted, in around 1994, I believe. And then the other strain came from a Japanese woman who had terrible oral hygiene, but no gingivitis and no tooth decay. So clearly there was something that was good going on in her mouth. And so what these two probiotics, these two strains do together is they're antimicrobial, they fight inflammation, they help to, they actually make Reuterin, which is a biofilm that kind of takes over the bad biofilm to kind of break it down. It's again, like the science of it is so cool. And so being able to, introduce that so early on in life, to be able to, we could change the microflora, of a person's mouth, children who have tooth decay, fix that and change that over with a probiotic. And it's beneficial for your gut health too. It's like, it's just a good idea. It's, why not, why not? So that's what got me started with speaking about BioGaia and talking about their probiotic, because it really seems to work. I had a patient, again, was using GBT. He had lots of things going on, mouth breather, lots of space in between his front teeth. He had a very class 2, your classic class 2 where your teeth are flared out. And between 7 and 8, tissue was super inflamed, 7 millimeter pocket, but a lot of it was inflammation. It wasn't an actual, 7 millimeter pocket. It was more like a 4 millimeter with, 3 millimeters of inflammation. And after GBTing, after using, the PerioFlow, getting to the base of that pocket, I took the infant drops and I slathered the BioGaia drops into the pocket. And I did this a couple times, while he was, and by the three, because he was on a perio maintenance, he came in at 3 months, still a mouth breather, still had all these issues going on, but we put him on that BioGaia and that tissue shrunk back to the 4. And it wasn't bleeding. It wasn't uncomfortable for him to breathe. I mean, uncomfortable for him to brush, not breathe. But could it have been the combination of all of it? Maybe. Could it have been just 1 or 2? Did I leave something behind the last time I saw him, and therefore that's why it couldn't heal up right? Like, there's all these things that could have happened. But the combination showed a reduction in that swelling. That to me was like, I mean, even though it was just one patient, again, like if it can help just one patient, then I feel like that's a good thing,
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a very interesting perspective on a way to use a probiotic. I don't think I've ever thought about necessarily like subgingival application of a BioGaia product. Yeah,
yeah.
Not that we would ever do that, but if we did,
yeah,
I hadn't thought of it.
BioGaia does talk about that, like being able to use it as a liquid in that way. If you've heard Katrina Sanders talk about it, she talks about it that way too. Like, yes, there are all these other products that you can be using, but like I didn't have Cervatec Plus to put the Thymol and I didn't have that in my clinic. So what was the one thing I had? Like, I didn't feel it was an inflammation thing. So we needed to bring down that inflammation, and it worked. And he, maintained that until I left. That tissue wasn't as inflamed. His biggest thing was once the swelling went down, he was able to brush much more comfortably.
Yes. I want to roll it back to the beginning when you were talking about how they came up with hey, this sounds really cool, and hey, that's really weird. Let's just put them together. Like, what a brilliant mind!
Who that?
Yeah,
who's that? Like,
who's the scientist that did this?
Breast milk is good. Let's put it in.
Well, I mean, right? Let's put it in a product. I mean, they've been trying to do that for years, right? But Lactobacillus reuteri is something that can be naturally found in our bodies, and so that was the benefit of that. And so, great product, great team. They just, they're always willing to give out samples. And that's, the other thing is, it's for your patients to try. So they have lozenges and then they have the drops for the infants, but the drops can be used, even the adults can use the drops. They all have the same amount of the probiotic. And I want to say one of them, the number is like, there's like the strain number and it's like 17,598. Okay. That's how many times they had to run it to try to get it to where it needed to be, like to test it, to get it to where it's just the science. And they will send you all the information on the science. Like the science is really amazing. And they have studies, lots and lots of oral health studies, which is pretty cool.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it. I mean, the same thing, like you were kind of saying, applies to your gut. We need to create a better environment in the gut. Yes. And hello, they're all connected. There's literally one giant
hole.
One giant garden hose in your body. So.
That's right. Yeah. The other thing I was trying to think there's something else that like, it's these specific strains that make it, because if you look up lactobacillus, lactobacillus is like the family, right? Or the species, just like a dog, right? But then when you break it down, like, yes, there are lots of dogs, but a Chihuahua and a Great Dane are not the same. So just saying that you have Lactobacillus reuteri in your probiotic and not being able to give me the specific strain is like telling me you have a dog, but not telling me what kind of dog you have.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, like I would love to say I made it up, but there's a chart that, that is out there that says that, like it's kind of like comparatively, like it's being very specific. Like it's not just a dog, it's a Boston Terrier. It's not just Lactobacillus reuteri, it's Lactobacillus reuteri, blah, 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 and if I could remember the numbers, but it's too late for me to remember the numbers. There's two. Bio guy is gonna be like, great, Melissa. But yeah, so, but that has been because it was, and it's safe on for pregnant patients. And that was another reason that I was very drawn to it, is that it helped. There were studies that showed that it helped with pregnancy gingivitis, which is something so many women deal with. So yeah, so that's why I enjoy the product so much.
I love that. I feel like I just learned so much in like the last 50 minutes here. You're just a brilliant mind, Melissa.
You should be an educator.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that out. Thanks.
Yeah,
Amanda.
maybe they'll take you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Career change, no big deal. Yeah. It is kind of, I do miss patients though. So like, I'm excited about having the summers off to be able to get back in the mouth a little bit if I want to. Yeah.
You have plenty of licenses to use here.
Yeah, pick your state.
I could go anywhere. I'm going to go back to California for the summer. That way I can really give injections, because in Texas, it's not so much. So,
yeah. That's the thing.
They have it passed, but yeah. And I know it's so many Texas hygienists are like, but we have it passed, it's going. And I'm like, you can give infiltration. Like I was really numbing people. But I'm glad that that we're moving in the right direction. So that's
a start.
It is a start. It's better than nothing. It is a start.
So you do education. You've done clinic. You speak as well. So who do you specifically just speak infants and prenatal care, or what is your range that you speak on?
So I speak on pregnancy and infant oral health. I have 3 presentations, and then 2 on guided biofilm therapy. One talks about minimally invasive dental hygiene therapy, which is what GBT is. because we're reducing the amount of scaling we're using. We're not using a gritty toothpaste, to remove microns. So it's minimally invasive. And then the third one is on pediatrics and GBT, because that's so much fun. It's amazing how many kids are like, you're not going to use that gritty toothpaste? Oh, yes.
Kids hate toothpaste.
They
hate it so much.
And with the erythritol powder, it gives a little bit of a sweet taste, but it's really just like, it's like a little shower for your teeth. So they love it. They really, really like it.
One day I will.
I know.
So with all of your speaking engagements, surely something memorable has happened in those times.
I was trying to, think about that. I've only done 2 in person, and one was in California when I was with the San Diego chapter of the Dental Hygiene Association there. And the other was in Idaho. I spoke in Idaho basically on my thesis findings and how important it is for us to be instrumental in making that change in our office to see those infants, and not infants, but, under 12 months or 12 months to 2 years, because nobody wants to, see those patients in our general practice, but we need to. And, I think the Idaho was definitely my most memorable. It was my first, and the reviews were great. Lots of students were there to learn about it too. And they were saying that they don't get that experience. And they don't get that experience in hygiene school. We don't, because we're so perio-focused that we, not that we forget about, it's just kind of like, this is how it is to treat a patient that's, and then we move on. But it's, it's important information to know, because I know I've walked into offices and they're like, I'm not seeing a 3-year-old. Like, why not? Like, I don't know what to do with them. And it's like the same thing you do with a, 20-year-old. They're probably going to be better than the 50-year-old that doesn't want to lay all the way back.
Yeah. I have to tell you, in the area where my office is at, a nearby pediatric office shut their doors.
Oh.
And
it's terrible.
It was this wild story where the whole team just quit. So it's a head scratcher for sure. I immediately called marketing and I am like, I want you guys to send a flyer out to everybody in the community and let them know that I want to see those pediatric patients. They need a dentist. And I mean, the locations are not super close to each other, but like a few blocks away, right? So I'm like, let them know they can come here, because that is a huge patient-based load of people who don't know where to go now.
No, and I understand that a lot. A lot of people still don't know when they're supposed to take their kid to the dentist. And what I learned in my research is that pediatricians think that dentists should be telling them. Dentists feel like the pediatrician should be telling them. So it's not happening, because the pediatrician doesn't want it to, they don't know where to go. Maybe they don't, make that connection, but like it was a very, because they don't learn about the oral health. And so like, they don't realize the importance of that 12 months, even though the AAP and the AAPD both say 12 months, they should see a dentist by 12 months of age, it still is missed. And it's basically an education course. Like, yes, hygienists could look in the patient's mouth and show mom where the teeth are and things like that. But it's really an education lesson on how to teach the mom to care, or the dad, caregiver. Let's go with caregivers. Much better. The caregivers, how to take care of the child's mouth. Because if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. A 4-year-old comes in and I ask mom, are you brushing his teeth or her teeth? And they say, oh, we didn't know we needed to. And you're like, what? Like, can't not change, make that face of like, huh?
You can't wipe it off.
I know. I have such a I don't know if you saw the meme I put on Facebook last night. Somebody posted about the Regina George's face whenever someone says they don't know what GBT is. And I'm like, oh, I'm embarrassed to say that this is so true. I look at them like, are you living under a rock? Like, but I've been immersed in it for, you know, so it's very, I know it's not kind.
I have to tell you, I had a 4-year-old come in that was originally a patient at this pediatric office. And she happened to come in on her birthday. Now, we're a private practice that doesn't see many kids. So for me to just like be like, oh, well, now we do. Go tell everybody we see kids, right? I'm like, I'll take care of anyone. So it was her birthday. And I sent my office manager to like a nearby store. I said, I need you to go get like a birthday balloon, or something, right? Something cute, maybe a flower, a balloon. And when we gave this, she came back with a balloon. But when we came back with the balloon for this little girl who had amazing home care, by the way, it was like a little angel in the chair too. She was speechless, like literally couldn't like fathom a thought. She was just like ah! Like for the longest, and it was the most like cutest moment. And I loved that so much. And
but yeah, kids, I always tell people I have so much more patience for children than I do for adults.
That's true.
I am so much more patient. Like, I mean, let's be honest, like the 55-year-old who says she can't lay back all the way. I'm like, how do you sleep? No, you don't ask that, but you know, like you're like, what do you mean you can't?
We all think
you all think it. Whereas like you have this 5-year-old hops in your chair, like lays back, puts sunglasses on, you start to, you know, clean up, and they're like perfect angels. And you're like, why can't all my patients be like this? You know? Funny, my son, when he was 4, I took him to the dentist. We were back in Jacksonville. And so I was just moved back, and he throws a fit. And like before I had kids, I was the best parent ever because my kid was never going to act like a fool in the dental office. He proved me wrong. He acted a darn fool up in this dental office. And you know, I'm trying to get my friend to clean his teeth. And the dentist is like, Melissa, just do it. And you are missing the point. He is going to behave in this chair. I ended up cleaning his teeth, and he's a great patient. But like that day was, you know, and there's always those struggle patients, young or old, but we get through it. We are.
You know,
because we're adaptable.
Because we're adaptable. We might be stubborn, but we're adaptable.
Yes.
We are stubborn and adaptable.
Perspective. That's right. Put that on your resume. Stubborn and adaptable.
Yeah. I will glow like they'll say that one.
You know, all the above. I am all the above.
She's got a great sense of humor. Let's
Yeah,
put her
let's
in the
put
hygiene
her
room.
in the hygiene. Yeah. Stubborn and adaptable. How do you do both? I don't know. Put it on there. She put it on there.
Oh my gosh.
So true.
That's going to have to be like an Instagram meme going around.
I'm going to change my profile, you know, right underneath it. Stubborn yet adaptable.
We'll make a sticker. We will make a sticker for RDH under one roof. And that will be like our give out, like stubborn and adaptable.
I love that.
It's so true though. We can be, you know, like because we have to be, and then that's how compassion fatigue happens, because we have adapted to completely be a cheery person for broken back and everything for our patients, right? Like that's, you know, but we adapt to make our patients
Missy,
happy.
are you going to be at Under One Roof for these stubborn, adaptable stickers?
Yes, I will. In fact,
you can be our ambassador for these stickers.
So I am the president-elect for the American Academy of Dental Hygiene, and I'm taking over presidency at RDH Under One Roof. So I'm very, very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is huge.
Or crazy. It's one or the other. Huge and crazy all at the same time. Stubborn yet adaptable.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm very, very excited to be a part of that organization. They're fantastic, and it's great for mentoring and leadership and helping, you know, bring up, the next generation of hygienists, which is awesome. And so that's good. Yeah. Great.
Well, I have to tell you, just today, Hygiene Elevated is going to be doing a t-shirt collaboration with a few other vendors.
Oh,
and all proceeds are going to charity.
nice. I love to buy things for charity.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to get one of these shirts.
Of
It's in the
course I
process
will.
of being designed right now, and I am over the moon to just see these 3 companies come together. So this is going to be a really cool.
I'm excited to see this.
Yes.
I don't
So
even
are
know what
we.
companies, but I'm very excited.
I know. You'll be. It is
Suspense.
so. I won't even
Suspenseful
say
music
today. We're going to
plays.
keep it a secret, but
Yes, please do.
it is a really cool collaboration, and I don't think many hygienists would expect these companies to collaborate together.
And so, will this be something at RDH under one roof, or you're going to be doing
this
before?
is going to be on the vendor floor.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
All right.
So I am very. I was already excited for Under One Roof, but now I'm even more excited for Under One Roof.
No, it's one of my favorite conferences to go to. I think it's a great way to network with I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't go to RDH under one roof and network with the people that I've networked with. And I mean, the people that I've met, case in point, you two right here, right there outside of the Curaprox and the Elevate Oral Care luncheons that we're about to go on. That's where I met you guys. So at RDH under one roof. So I think it's a great way to network and be with your colleagues, which is awesome.
I would even say Under One Roof is where you reconnect with your passion.
100%. Like if you are feeling like strained or anything like that in your career, but lots of CEs do that for you. There's certain people give CEs that really just can light a fire and keep that passion going. And that's what makes it, that's why we go to these CEs and things like that, to keep that fire lit, because we love what we do deep inside. We just get frustrated sometimes.
Or even I think like feeling isolated. I think that can be the huge thing for hygienists, because there's always going to be more than one assistant typically. Sometimes there's only one doctor, but I think a hygienist can really feel isolated, and having that collaboration and that friendship and that community that you really do find at RDH under one roof.
Yes.
For me, it was a community I didn't know I needed.
Oh,
it wasn't one that I was really looking for. And if it wasn't for Joffrey, this would not, this wouldn't be a thing in my life. And I wouldn't be having, spending my Friday nights doing podcasts of dental hygiene stuff.
But it's so cool. I mean, this is great. I could talk to other hygienists like this for days. My husband would hate it and be like, can you get off of there? Yes. But I could do it for he's like, oh, great. Somebody pulled her dental string. I'm going to walk away. Once that starts, it's like so hard. I went to my first RDH under one roof in 2018. I had been a hygienist for 13 years at that point. And I think that's the right number, 13 years. And I came home from that and I looked at my husband and I'm like, I will be going to this every year. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll make it every other year. So it's not. And then it's gotten to be where I missed it in 2019. Then we didn't have it in 2020. And then 2021, I was moving to California. I didn't know what I was going to do, if I was going to get my license, if I wasn't going to get my license. I started working with Arm & Hammer at that point. And then, because I do that too, but that's neither here nor there. But it was because of RDH under one roof that I got that position. And then that I met the people, that I needed to meet for EMS. And it's just been a great way to meet people and that community. It just grows.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be Amanda and I's third time going to Under One Roof. And I don't see myself ever stopping, because I'm like you, once you have it once, you have to have it over and over again.
Well, because then people put pictures online and you have FOMO like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I have FOMO problems and I'm like, you guys are having so much fun without me.
And all the giveaways, like all of the stuff.
Oh, the first year I went, like, so it has gotten, so when I went in 2018, I got a Sonicare and an Oral-B.
Oh, wow.
No
It was
way.
like, now it's like one or the other usually does something at the end or whatever. But like, yeah, it was the first year I went, I didn't even know I needed to bring an extra bag. Luckily I drove down because I was in DC, but like you have to bring an extra bag to this thing. You have to like pack your bag in the small bag, your clothes in the small bag, and then put it inside the big bag because you're going to need the big bag to bring home all your stuff. It's just crazy.
I know. I have to tell you. So, my husband is such a minimalist. And if I show up with a whole suitcase full of swag, he will just unhinged, right? It's just like he won't say anything, but you can just see it in his face, like, right? He just can't.
All this dental product.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to like upset him. So what we'll do is we'll go walk the floor and I'll just give all my goodies to Amanda. So Amanda leaves with double goodies.
So, okay, here's the thing. Joffrey is genuinely impressive in her non-minimalism. We did Evolution and Under One Roof in Tennessee this last year.
Yeah.
She did it all in a carry-on. Yes.
Yeah. One pair of shoes. I can be a minimalist.
She did it. And here I am at the airport with all of her stuff and I'm overweight. So she's helping me go through my luggage, clearing out, okay, you don't really need to
You're
take
giving out toothbrushes to all the people at Southwest. Here, take off.
Yes.
Does anybody need to know any information on gingivitis? I've got it right here.
I see Amanda unzipping her bag and I said, oh,
Here's
this
a
is
flyer.
the moment. She's overweight on that bag. So I walk up and I'm like,
I was like 7 pounds over of probably just literature because I can't throw paper away.
So I'm like, Amanda, can I help you? And she looks at me and she's like, Joffrey.
Joffrey was frothing at the mouth. Can I help? That's what was happening.
I am like a Tetris master. Let me help you reorganize this bag.
Oh gosh.
And we did it. You got on the
I got on the plane, all of my stuff. So I don't just like hoard all of the goodies. I bring it back for my staff and I make up like little bags for them.
Nice.
And they all look forward to me going away to RDH under one roof so they can get stuff.
So it's funny. I work with Arm & Hammer. I work on the showroom floor sometimes with them. And after working on the showroom floor as a vendor with a company, you never want to go talk to anybody on the showroom floor. Because number one, they're busy and they've said the same thing 895 billion times. And so you're like, oh, I'm just going to take this because I already know what you said. But you don't want to take it. You don't want to ask them for a toothbrush. You don't want to ask if they have anything because of the fact that like, as the vendor, you're standing there and you've seen the same person 18 times try to come and get another bottle of mouth rinse. And so it's like, I don't want to be that person. And it's always the person dressed in the most exotic outfit. Like you're not going to remember that person. Like, do you think I could get one of those? And like, you were just here 5 seconds ago. At least go to another person. It's very, so that has definitely scaled back how much swag I bring back. Like it has to be meaningful. Like a Curaprox toothbrush, I don't ever get rid of those. That sucker's coming home with me. You know what I mean? But like other toothbrushes, I'm like, I don't need that one. It's become I've become a minimalist with what I try to go get.
I'm still in denial.
Hey, no harm. Come work the Arm & Hammer booth one day and you'll be like, oh, this is wild. They do. It's the water pick and Arm & Hammer are together now. And it's wild. It's wild. It gets crazy.
Joffrey actually you fit your water pick in your carry-on, didn't you? With all of the stuff that you already had.
I unboxed it though. I did unbox it.
In there.
And it fit. Yes.
Which one did you get? Did you win one or did you?
The one they gave out.
They were giving them out.
It was Evolution, not Under One
Oh,
Roof.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where it was from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did get that all in my carry-on.
Good for you.
Very impressive packer.
Yes.
Helping
Tetris
every-
master is what I heard.
Yes.
Tetris master. My husband would love to be a minimalist, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, in all honesty,
Same.
the only thing we have excess of is, if you could see over here, we have like this ridiculous amount of books that never come out of boxes. Because every move we're like, do we really need to open that? No.
But you have them.
But if we need it, it's in there.
I love that.
We haven't needed it in 20 years, but it's in there.
That's like our basement. Like, we put things down there when we're done with it, but not ready to throw it away. So things go down there to die. We're
Things
like,
go down there to never be seen again.
no, they're never coming back up.
Yes.
So you shared with us your memorable speaking experience, your first one. What are some funny things that have happened during speaking engagements?
So, I mean, I don't know if this is so much funny, but I try to be mindful of people's, feelings, and I probably do it to a fault, right? So I spent a long time working on my pregnancy and making sure I didn't offend anyone, so I say pregnant people. And so I got a lot of feedback that, they're women, not people. I'm like, yeah, but if I would have said it the other way, if I'd have said women, there'd have been people coming backing it, so that's the only thing that I could really think of that I have a struggle with it because, yes, I want to say women but there's that, it's that struggle of I want to make sure I'd rather be indecisive than indecisive. Is that the word I'm looking for? You might need to cut that out. I want to be I want to make sure that I'm being mindful of everyone and not being, unkind to anyone. So,
well, I love that you are being inclusive and that you
that's what I'm
overthink.
looking for.
I think
Thanks.
that needs to go on the sticker too. We're also overthinkers.
Oh, 100%. We overthink everything. I even told my director today, sometimes I'm like, should I really be doing this? Should I really be teaching other people?
Yes, you should.
I don't know. And my grad school teacher was Dr. Linda Boyd, who is one of the new editors on the Wilkins manual or the Wilkins book. And you guys know what the Wilkins book is, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. We don't use it at the school that we're at right now, so the students don't know. But so Linda Boyd was my teacher, and to me, she's like the next best thing next to Esther Wilkins, right? So, she has this confidence in me. She's like, "You're great. You're going to do great." And I'm like, "I don't even know if you know who I am." I'm over here self-doubting all day long. She said, "We do that as clinicians because we are very, we don't see ourselves the way that we should." So. Yeah, we're all great people. We're all, imperfect and great, but yep. So, yeah.
So as an educator and somebody who's a key opinion leader, you're in, you have your hands in many things. Where do you see some of the emerging technologies coming down, in the educational realm of things?
I definitely think that we need to, like I said, we need to continue to introduce new technologies. If we're not encouraging our students to go to conventions and which I always do, I'm like, you need to go to these things. It's great. But if you're not encouraging them to go learn what else is out there, and we're not going out there, how are they going to know what's out there? So we need to make sure that we're bringing new things in, the Synapse dental pain eraser. I mean, that thing's pretty cool, right? They endo-iced my tooth. They put this little metal thing on there and then they endo-iced it again and it didn't hurt. Seriously? That's so cool. We need to go ahead and make sure that the students know that these things are out there. I do think that the school that I'm at right now does do a really good job of implementing and showing these things to them. And like I said earlier, it's hard because like doctors do think that because we graduate from a hygiene school and we're new grads that we have this, oh, you've got the best technology, but that's not, sometimes our textbooks are, for, a little bit more dated than what we want them to be, even though they're brand new. Like material is emerging every single day, which is great, but it's hard to keep up with sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the classroom has to stay in connection with what's on boards. So when boards isn't adapting to what's new,
and it takes 4 years to remove questions from a board exam. So like there's 4 different versions, if you will. And so they go through these rotations of changing out questions and removing. So they might do it for the first version, but they haven't gotten to the second, third, and fourth version. So it takes, I know. So it takes time. So like, for example, sit down. I'm still teaching how to develop film x-rays. However, I tell my students, if you walk in and they tell you that you are going to be using film, that's a red flag, girl. You better leave.
Yeah.
Because look, see, I did a thumbs up and it did it. Look at there. This is your cool
I
website.
saw it a couple times.
It's not working.
It was cool.
It was cool that it did that. I did not make it do that. I just gave a thumbs up. But yeah, so that is, it's hard. We do have to maintain what's on boards, but we also have the availability. We should also be teaching them some of the newer technologies. Yeah.
It's a balancing act. You instructors are incredible.
It is a balancing act. But the hard part is if you're an educator that isn't out there trying to learn new things, seeing new things, and not focusing on the up and coming, you can sometimes get, just like we as clinicians can sometimes get very complacent in our, I do my virtual CEs, we're good. I don't need to go to any conferences. But you don't know that you need that, right? You don't know that you need that until you go. See, more thumbs up. They like what I'm saying.
They agree. StreamYard agrees.
So when we're, in that situation, if we're just like educators can become complacent as well. They can not know what the new technology is, or the new research even, if we're not staying up to date. So that's the important part.
Very valid. Melissa, it has been such a joy having you on the podcast tonight.
It's been fun.
Yes.
Amanda and I close every episode with the same 2 questions. So Amanda, do you want to go first, or would you like me to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
All right, Melissa. What do you wish you would have learned in school that took you years to learn as an RDH?
The piezo. That I wish I would have had. We didn't have them in hygiene school. I wish I would have had a little bit more. I wish I would have been able to learn on it earlier in my career. I worked in a perio office. I temped a little bit right before the pandemic, and he had one, but I was too scared to use it because I didn't want to hurt my patient because I didn't know how to use it. And I was the temp, so I didn't want to, that girl didn't know what she was doing. So I just stuck with the magnetostrictive. But I wish I would have really honed in and learned more about it. When I went to train the trainers with EMS, I had the opportunity to do the training with Jody Deming, who is out of Washington State. And actually she might not be there anymore. She might be in Indiana, but the way she explained the difference between the two, like it was amazing to have her knowledge and to learn from her on how proper use of that piezo. And that was pretty incredible because she's a pretty awesome lady. Yep. So that's what I wish I would have learned. Yes.
So I want to know, how did she describe the 2?
Oh, I'm like, should this be
okay? Maybe you can tell me, and maybe you can message me. I'm just curious.
Well, the magnetostrictive works in an elliptical pattern. So like your you're basically, hitting the tooth at two different times, multiple, you're kind of chipping at it this way. Whereas the piezo has more of that linear, so that smooth stroke. And it feels like it's not doing anything. And I think that's what a lot of clinicians, whenever they switch over to it, they're like, I'm barely holding it. Like, you only need to put 15 grams of pressure with it. That's nothing. If you go and put your hand on a scale, like you're using a scaler or you're using a magnetostrictive, you are putting like 34, it's more than 50. You're putting well more than 50, sometimes 100 grams of pressure, and you need 30 to 50 grams of pressure with the piezo. So not very much at all. It's very, very light. And so, though that was, she had us feel the difference on like the end of an Explorer, and you could feel the jittery where you didn't feel it with the piezo, because of the way that it taps it, because it taps it twice in that elliptical pattern, whereas like the piezo doesn't have that. And that's what sends that shock to some of our patients, is that, the hitting with the magnetostrictive. So.
Okay, because I've had an instructor once, way back when I was in hygiene school, say that the piezo was like a ballerina. It was like doing ballet. And
that's a good way. That's a really good way to describe it, because it's it's like floating almost, like it's, and yeah, it's a great technology.
I haven't had the opportunity to work with the piezo in a clinical setting, but I will never forget her telling me that it's like a ballerina of instrumentation. So
that would make sense. Yeah.
Yes.
The other one's tap dancing, kind of, but okay. And the fact of the matter is, when you're doing that, when you're hitting and crushing that calculus off, you're taking microns with it. Whereas when you're sweeping it off, it kind of doesn't, it's not as invasive on the tooth structure. And that's why GBT is so, it's so minimally invasive, as we're not as, the power doesn't need to be as, it's just, it's just feeling the two in your hand together makes a difference, feeling how they work.
Well, now I'm envious. I don't have one, so I'm going to have some FOMO tonight. And
I know. I just kind of want to get a group of people together and be like, let's play with it. But, that's kind of against the rules. I can't just bring people together and play with my machine.
No, we can't. That would be fun. I'd love to go.
Maybe one day that will be fun.
All right. Our very last question here. What piece of advice do you wish you could give yourself as a new grad?
You're not perfect. This is kind of like, you're not perfect. For one, you're going to miss calculus. Suck it up. You're going to miss it. You're going to get frustrated. Okay. But this is where learning happens. This is where you learn. And if you're not, failure, big or small, it's a growing up. It's an opportunity for growth. So hold on for the ride. Like, life would be really, really boring if we were all perfect and everything was just, no perio, nothing fun to do. Life would be boring.
I think
we
those
never
are
hear
very
the same
good
answer
reminders.
Twice, do we?
No. I love them all. Like, nobody gives a bad, like, that was dumb. Like, they're all so insightful, and it comes from the heart, because it's something that you're like, man, I wish I knew this, and it would have changed so many things for you. But you wouldn't be the clinician and the experienced individual that you are now had you not gone through those deficits of knowledge.
Had I not failed, had I not missed that calculus and been like, gosh, why is this patient not healing? And like and in school, you hear students all the time say, like, but it's not perfect. And I'm like, oh, sweet baby. Nothing's going to be perfect. I had a student yesterday tell me she wants everything to be, I'm very literal. I want everything to be black and white, Miss Calhoun. And I'm like, honey, I think you might be in the wrong profession. There is nothing black and white about our profession. When you think you understand staging and grading, someone throws you a curveball.
Yeah, no two patients are exactly alike.
No two patients are exactly alike. And that's the fun in it too, is it's a little adventurous. Every day is a little bit of an adventure, Embrace it.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you for having me, you guys. This has been great. Probably talk to you guys
One
for
of
way
my
longer.
favorite episodes. I love it. Missy,
Yeah.
thank you for joining
You are
us
so
tonight.
welcome. No,
We'll
thank
see
you for
in
having me.
Denver.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there.
We'll catch up then.
All right, bye, you guys.
You guys, bye.